Hi everyone, I am Jason Alcott, author of The Sewing Principle. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. If you have been here before, I'm excited about the opportunity to spend a couple of minutes with you today, hopefully to uplift you, encourage you, and challenge you as you grow in pursuit of God's purpose in your life. Today, I want to touch base with a book John Maxwell wrote 25 years ago called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and it's probably been one of the most influential leadership books in my life, definitely one of the most influential leadership books that I believe is out there in the world. I believe it's one of the better ones that's ever been written. So in honor of that 25th anniversary, I wanted to touch today on my favorite law. Actually, I'm not even sure if I would want to call it my favorite. I think it's the law that is sort of kind of stuck with me the most. Can I dare say it's the law that has sort of haunted me? I keep coming back to it in my mind, trying to better understand it. And that law is called the law of the lid. And so here's what that law says. It says, leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. Or, said another way, your leadership ability is the lid on your potential. Now, when I hear a saying like that, and I've heard that, it's always kind of stuck with me because I haven't ever wanted my potential to be limited by something. You know, we often hear, well, you can do anything you want if you're willing to put your mind to it. We think, well, if you're really smart, right? If you're really good at something, then that should allow you to go on and become successful. And I believe if you're watching these videos, if you and I are anything alike, you don't want to just quote unquote be successful. You want to actually have an impact. And so if my effectiveness can be limited in some way, I want to know about it. I need to be able to focus not only on my skills, gifts, talents, and abilities, or working hard, or being smart, or whatever it is, but my effectiveness, my ability to impact other people is actually going to be influenced heavily by the lid of leadership and my effectiveness as a leader. So John has these two great graphs in his book that show the difference between what success might look like without leadership and what success might look like with leadership as an ability that you have. So he shows that you could have a high level of success in like your dedication, your ability to work hard, maybe your IQ, that sort of area. You could be successful, but the effectiveness of that success in this particular sort of dedication part of your life could be limited significantly if your lid is low in leadership. So you may have a very, very high IQ or a very, very strong work ethic or whatever it is in this particular area of your life. But if your leadership ability is low, then all of a sudden the effectiveness of that success gets limited significantly. And then the second graph shows somebody with that same level of skill set, how much greater their effectiveness can be, their ability to impact people as their lid of leadership goes up, as their leadership effectiveness goes up. You know, it expands your effectiveness because now you have this skill set, but it's just multiplied by your ability to lead. So for myself, when I've looked at that and started to understand the law of the lid better, I've always gone, you know what? Okay, so I'm going to pursue the gifts, skills, and talents that God's given me, but I'm also going to need to make sure that I'm growing in the area of leadership. I'm going to need to continue to learn about leadership and have that be a part of my life. John has this great real world example in the book where he talks about the beginning founding two brothers that started McDonald's. So it was originally started by two brothers in California. They were very entrepreneurial, very bright. They've come up with this model of how to provide really fast, really great service in food and essentially, you know, starting this fast food phenomenon. And they had this model that people were coming from all over the country to see what it is that they were doing in their original McDonald's and how they were being so effective at serving customers and doing it so quickly. They were brilliant. They developed something that nobody had ever developed for. Arguably, really, really high level of IQ, high level of success. They were actually doing financially very well at that point as well off this one restaurant. What I found so interesting in the story that I didn't really know was that they actually tried to franchise it. They actually sold about 15 franchises according to the book, of which 10 actually started, but weren't successful. They couldn't duplicate themselves. Then Ray Kroc comes along, who most of us are familiar with, partners with them and eventually takes over the franchise portion of the business. Whole separate story. But he has a significantly higher leadership lid, leadership effectiveness. And he goes on to grow McDonald's to become the McDonald's that we know today, right? Over 20,000+ restaurants around the world and how many billions of hamburgers sold, right? What was the differentiator? Because it wasn't how smart they were. The brothers were smart. They built something that nobody else had built, that everybody around the country wanted to see how they were doing this. But they ran into a lid of their leadership. And all of a sudden, Ray Kroc comes along with a high leadership lid and is able to take that concept and create this franchise explosion that we all know as McDonald's today. So for me, it definitely makes me ask the question, where's my lid? Right? Where am I at in this? You know, how is this affecting my day-to-day life? Well, I want to ask you that same question. Where's your lid? Where's your leadership lid? Do you know? Are you aware? Regardless of how you answer that question, the good news is you can do something about it. So let's talk today a little bit about what can you do to raise your leadership lid. The first thing you can do is you can take the opportunity to lead yourself. Leadership starts right here, right where you are. That's taking ownership and responsibility. It's taking responsibility in life for the things that you can take responsibility for. We've talked about that. Defining your locus of control. These are the things that are outside of of my control, and these are the things that are inside my control. Okay, so for the things that are inside my control, so whether that be in your finances, your health, in your relationships with your spouse, your kids, whatever that is, your personal growth, take that opportunity to lead yourself first, because that's where you start. When you learn to lead yourself, make sure that you're serving the gifts and skills and talents that God's given you towards the direction that He wants you to move in. When you're leading in that space in your own personal life, then you can step up and learn how to serve and lead others. Second thing that I want to mention, John brings this up all the time in his books and in his podcasts and audios. John talks about this. Leaders are learners. You are here, you're watching this video. I want to believe that you have that hunger. You have that hunger to continue to learn and to grow. And one of the areas that I think you want to develop that desire to learn and to grow would be to learn about leadership. There are so many books about leadership. Okay, Jason, I don't like to read. Great, no problem. There are so many incredible leadership podcasts that are out there that you can plug into. John Maxwell has one that you can plug into and learn about leadership. Sow into yourself so that you can learn about the topic of leadership, what it means to lead in your own personal life, what it means to lead at work, the team that you're a part of, what it means to lead in your community as part of your church. Plug in, start sowing into that part of your learning in personal development and growth. Learn about leadership. Sow in. Leaders are learners. And the third thing that I would suggest is take the opportunities to lead that are right in front of you. Look for opportunities around you, and I guarantee you and promise you that they are there. Opportunities to step up and take responsibility for different things in your life. It could be at work. It could be in your relationship. It could be in your church or community. I guarantee you there are people at your work, the people that you work with, your manager, the owner, the boss, whatever it is, that are looking for people on the team to step up and take responsibility for things that maybe aren't a part of their job description, but are just little things that need to be taken care of. And you can put your hand up and say, I can take responsibility for that. I can drive this project through to completion. I can make sure that these things are done on a consistent basis. You'll learn so much by picking up and taking responsibility for something that maybe hasn't been tasked to you, but is an opportunity that you could run and take a hold of. The worst thing you can say is something along those lines of, well, it's not part of my job. It's not part of my job description. Remove that from your vocabulary. If you're somebody that's driven and is looking for opportunities to sort of climb in your career or grow in your work, step up and take opportunities to lead, even if they aren't already a part of your quote unquote job description. That's going to set you apart. That's going to set you apart from everyone else that just wants to be like, well, here's my job and this is what I do. Step up and take opportunities to lead. That will set you apart. And I guarantee you that they're there. There are opportunities there in your church as well. They're often disguised as volunteer opportunities, but there are opportunities there to lead and to serve your community. I believe that your lid can be raised. I believe that you can actively pursue learning. I believe that you can learn to lead yourself and then serve in your community. And your leadership lid can be raised, which will then increase the effectiveness that God can have in and through you, the impact that I know that you so want to have in the world. Leadership is going to be a big part of that. So I hope you have an absolutely awesome rest of your day. And I'm excited for the personal growth journey that you are on, and I'm excited to be a part of it with you. I look forward to sharing with you again next week.